Davis just posted that he would beat the brakes off of you if you guys fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down. Let's run it. Like, I'll be super, super down.
I don't know if Gervonta needs Jake Paul. Let's be clear, right?
Is there a height limit in boxing?
Boxing has always been a sport filled with drama, but when Gervonta Tank Davis calls out Jake Paul, it's not just another feud. It's a collision of two entirely different worlds. On one hand, there's Davis, a seasoned champion boasting an undefeated record and a reputation built on hard work, skill, and devastating knockouts. On the other hand, we have Jake Paul, a social media superstar turned polarizing boxer who's gained fame and infamy for his flashy antics and unconventional path into the ring. Recently, Davis sent shockwaves through the boxing community with a bold declaration: "I'd beat the brakes off Jake Paul." His frustration with Jake's approach to boxing was clear. He sees Jake as someone who disrespects the traditions of the sport. Jake's response? Classic Jake Paul. He clapped back in a press conference, mocking Davis's height and claiming he'd be the A-side in any fight negotiations. Is there a height limit in boxing? Jake quipped, poking fun at Gervonta's 5 feet 5 inches stature, leaving some fans in laughter and others shaking their heads. Jake's audacity knows no bounds, but his comment has only added fuel to an already blazing fire.
St. Martin, day one of training.
Jake Paul's rise in boxing has been anything but traditional. He's fought a mix of celebrities, MMA fighters, and aging legends, drawing attention and controversy in equal measure. His most recent fight with Mike Tyson only added to the chaos. Facing off against a 57-year-old Tyson, Jake secured a victory but sparked outrage with his post-fight antics. Rather than displaying the humility or respect many expected after facing a legend like Mike Tyson, Jake Paul chose a different path that only deepened the divide between his supporters and critics. Following his victory, Jake downplayed Tyson's effort, claiming that a supposed ankle injury had limited his own performance. He further justified his approach by stating he went easy on Tyson out of respect for the former heavyweight champion's age and legacy. This narrative, however, did not sit well with fans or professionals within the boxing world. Many saw it as an opportunistic move, using Tyson's diminished capacity as a platform to bolster his own reputation while disrespecting the effort Tyson put into the ring. The backlash was immediate and widespread. Fans accused Jake of exploiting Tyson's legendary status for personal gain rather than honoring his contribution to the sport. Professionals chimed in, criticizing Jake for what they perceived as a lack of sportsmanship and an unwillingness to acknowledge the privilege of sharing the ring with a figure of Tyson's caliber.
Y'all, hey, we saw what happened tonight. Mike came out, gave it all he had. His legs, you can tell, weren't really with him tonight, so it was a little bit difficult. But thank God Jake did knock him out, because I would have felt bad for Jake, because Andre Ward was definitely going to go after Jake if he did knock Tyson out. So thank God he didn't. Thank God everybody ended up healthy, happy. Now I ain't got to worry about Andre coming out of retirement no time soon.
The situation was further exacerbated by revelations about the financial arrangements for the fight. Jake reportedly walked away with a staggering $40 million payday, double Tyson's $20 million earnings, a discrepancy that many felt was emblematic of the broader commercialization and spectacle-driven nature of modern boxing. For fighters like Gervonta Davis, who have climbed the ranks through grueling battles, blood, sweat, and unyielding dedication, Jake's antics represent everything wrong with the current state of the sport. Davis has built his career on his raw talent, discipline, and respect for boxing's traditions, qualities that stand in stark contrast to Jake's approach. Where Davis sees boxing as an art form and a test of skill, Jake appears to treat it as a marketing opportunity, focusing on social media engagement, pay-per-view numbers, and headline-grabbing stunts. To Davis, Jake Paul is not a legitimate boxer, but a calculated showman who prioritizes spectacle over substance. Jake's fights, often against hand-picked opponents with limited boxing credentials, lack the competitive rigor that defines true champions. This perceived disregard for the sport's authenticity frustrates not just Davis, but a significant portion of the boxing community, who see Jake's rise as a distraction from the essence of what makes boxing great. Davis's frustration goes beyond mere rivalry. It's a matter of principle. For a boxer like him, who has spent years perfecting his craft and earning his accolades, Jake's meteoric rise, fueled by theatrics and controversy, feels like an affront to the sport's integrity. The fact that Jake could command such a massive payday, while an icon like Tyson received comparatively less, only adds to the perception that boxing is shifting away from its roots and toward a focus on spectacle over skill. This clash of values, discipline versus showmanship, authenticity versus marketing, is at the heart of Davis's disdain for Jake Paul. It's a battle between two very different approaches to boxing, one grounded in respect for the sport's history, and the other driven by a modern, entertainment-centric model that prioritizes viral moments over competitive excellence. Jake Paul's antics have ruffled more than a few feathers in the boxing world. Beyond Gervonta Davis's sharp critiques, several other high-profile fighters have voiced their frustration, calling on Jake to back up his brash persona by stepping into the ring with legitimate, top-tier opponents. Fighters like Artur Beterbiev and Daniel Dubois have made their challenges loud and clear, each offering Jake an opportunity to prove himself against real competition.
David, we were talking about Jake Paul earlier. He has his eyes at 175 champion Beterbiev now, and Daniel Dubois wants to fight him. I'm curious, what would a fight between you and Jake look like? Would it get out of the first round, or?
Jake is my friend, but I don't know. What do you think would win?
However, Jake's response, or lack thereof, has only fueled skepticism about his intentions in the sport. Artur Beterbiev, the undefeated light heavyweight champion, is renowned for his ferocious punching power and unmatched precision in the ring. With all 19 of his victories coming by way of knockout, Beterbiev represents the epitome of a dangerous, no-nonsense fighter. When asked about Jake Paul, Beterbiev didn't mince words. He expressed interest in a potential matchup, a challenge fans quickly latched onto as a likely mismatch of epic proportions. The mere thought of Jake stepping into the ring with a powerhouse like Beterbiev sparked widespread speculation, with many predicting it would be a devastating and humbling experience for the YouTuber-turned-boxer.
That watch the fight don't really watch boxing, so they probably thought the 58-year-old Mike Tyson was going to be the 18, 19-year-old Mike Tyson they saw back in the day and was going to absolutely destroy Jake Paul, not realizing that he is, well, Mike Tyson is an OAP. He's an old man and had no right to be in the ring. And Jake Paul is in his prime. Prime. So it was, I thought it was just, the whole thing was embarrassing, especially that Jake.
Critics argue that if Jake were truly serious about his boxing career, taking on a seasoned champion like Beterbiev would be the ultimate test of his legitimacy. Heavyweight contender Daniel Dubois, known for his explosive power and aggressive style, has also called Jake out. Dubois, who boasts an impressive record and is no stranger to high-stakes fights, didn't hold back. His promoter, Frank Warren, made headlines with his blunt assessment of the potential fight, stating, "If Jake takes this fight, it could end his career." The challenge was as direct as it gets.
I mean, is that serious? Like, where are we at? Where are we at with that?
Oh, look, no one can offer any advice on behalf of Daniel except me and Queensbury. That's number one. Number two, would we do that fight in a heartbeat? Would Jake do it? No, I don't think. It's certainly not ready to be fighting a Daniel Dubois. But you know what? It is what it is. And Daniel's next fight, he's been up the office today. And Daniel's next fight will be sorted out very, very soon, as we said at the start.
With Dubois himself expressing confidence that Jake wouldn't last long against him in the ring. For many in the boxing community, Dubois' challenge represents a golden opportunity for Jake to silence his critics, or risk exposing himself as someone who thrives on theatrics rather than skill. Despite these high-profile call-outs, Jake has remained notably evasive. Rather than engaging with these challenges head-on, he has chosen to keep the spotlight firmly on himself through calculated statements, social media stunts, and carefully curated matchups. Jake's avoidance of fighters like Beterbiev and Dubois has left many questioning his motives. Is he genuinely interested in proving his worth in the sport? Or is he simply building a career on spectacle and controversy? Jake's reluctance to face elite-level opponents has become a recurring theme, one that continues to polarize fans and professionals alike. While his supporters argue that Jake is still in the early stages of his boxing journey and needs time to develop.
A YouTuber to actually taking out a licensed box. He's fought licensed fighters. He fought Tommy Fury, got beat in a, I'd say it's a very close contest, but there weren't a lot in the fight at a certain stage of it. And he's done brilliant well. What he's done, he's monetized his, if you want to call it, notoriety of his former background as being, was it a prankster or candid camera as we called it in my day. He's done all that, he's done that brilliantly and very cleverly. And the fight that they did, or the event, I should say, they did at the weekend, was a bloody good event. There were some good fights on the card. The main event was what it was. And would he fight Daniel Dubois? If he did, I'm being very honest, if he did, that would probably be the end of his career as a boxer. He's not ready for a Daniel Dubois.
Critics see his refusal to accept these challenges as proof that he's more interested in maintaining his marketability than testing his abilities. The challenges from Beterbiev and Dubois have highlighted a growing divide in the boxing community. On one side are those who view Jake Paul as an entertainer who has brought new eyes to the sport, albeit through unconventional means. On the other are purists who see his avoidance of legitimate threats as a slap in the face to the sport's traditions. For many, Jake's career so far has been defined by hand-picked opponents and a carefully controlled narrative. Fighters like Beterbiev and Dubois represent a stark departure from that formula, a step into the dangerous, unpredictable world of elite-level boxing. Accepting such fights would require Jake to abandon the safety net he's built around himself and risk not just his unbeaten record, but his entire brand. As the challenges pile up and the criticism grows louder, Jake Paul finds himself at a crossroads. Will he continue to carve out his own lane in boxing, built on spectacle and social media clout, or will he take the plunge and face the kind of opponents who could solidify or shatter his credibility? The boxing world is watching closely, waiting to see whether Jake will step up to the plate or retreat further into his comfort zone. For now, the callouts from fighters like Artur Beterbiev and Daniel Dubois remain unanswered, leaving fans and professionals alike to wonder if Jake Paul truly has what it takes to be more than just a showman in the sport of boxing. Jake's fight with Tyson became a lightning rod for heated debates. Fans tuned in hoping to see Tyson rekindle his old magic, but what they got was a reminder of the boxer's age. Tyson, though still a legend, couldn't match the speed or energy of his youth. Jake's victory, while technically a win, didn't earn him the respect he might have hoped for. Adding insult to injury, Jake's post-fight behavior turned heads for all the wrong reasons. Instead of celebrating Tyson's resilience, he made the moment about himself, boasting about his performance despite his supposed injury. The payday controversy only added fuel to the fire.
Jake Paul and Mike Tyson are going at it this Friday night in 8 2-minute rounds. Jake Paul apparently is getting $40 million. Mike Tyson only getting $20 million. I'm shocked at that. The most famous boxer alive is getting a smaller piece of the pie. I mean, they're the reported figures, but I hope that's not true. Tyson deserves an equal half of this pie, in my opinion. He's the reason they're selling.
For many, Jake earning more than Tyson, a man who helped define boxing, felt like a slap in the face to the sport's legacy. Critics argue that Jake's clout and marketability have overshadowed the dedication and talent of traditional boxers. For Gervonta Davis, calling out Jake Paul is about far more than silencing a loudmouth. It's about upholding the integrity of boxing itself. Davis, who has built an illustrious career with a staggering 27 knockouts in 29 fights, embodies everything that fans of the sport cherish: discipline, mastery of technique, relentless training, and an unyielding respect for the traditions of boxing. To him, Jake Paul is not just a provocateur. He's a symbol of what many see as the erosion of boxing's core values. For Davis, stepping into the ring with Paul would be more than a fight. It would be a crusade to restore the sport's dignity. Nicknamed Tank for his explosive power and unrelenting pressure, Davis has cemented his reputation as one of the most feared and respected fighters in the sport today. From his roots in Baltimore to his rise as a three-division world champion, Davis's journey is a testament to grit and determination. Every punch he throws carries the weight of his commitment to the sport, a stark contrast to what he perceives as Jake Paul's shortcuts and showmanship. Davis represents the epitome of old-school boxing values: respect for the craft, reverence for the legends who paved the way, and a career built on fighting the best of the best. His clashes with elite opponents and ability to consistently draw crowds without resorting to gimmicks set him apart as a true champion. For Davis, boxing is not just a spectacle, it's a sacred art form, and Jake Paul's antics, in his eyes, tarnish its legacy. A fight between Davis and Jake Paul would transcend the typical boxing match. It would symbolize the ongoing battle between the sport's deeply rooted traditions and the modern era's obsession with hype and social media-driven fame. Davis represents the purists, the fighters who live and breathe the sport, dedicating their lives to perfecting their craft. Jake, on the other hand, has become the face of what many see as the sport's commercialization, a showman who prioritizes entertainment and controversy over genuine skill. For fans, this potential matchup wouldn't just be about the punches thrown. It would be about what those punches represent. Davis would step into the ring not just as a fighter, but as a defender of boxing's soul, looking to expose Jake Paul as an imposter in a sport where authenticity and hard work are supposed to reign supreme. On the other side of the ring stands Jake Paul, a figure who has managed to make himself one of the most talked about names in boxing without earning the accolades or respect traditionally required to do so. Paul's rise to fame has been fueled by a relentless ability to stir controversy, dominate headlines, and sell pay-per-view events like few others can. Jake's approach to boxing has been anything but conventional. While he has undeniably brought new audiences to the sport, his reliance on theatrics, social media antics, and carefully selected opponents has left purists questioning his intentions.
I believe that when Jake Paul was in the ring with Mike Tyson, there was something that said to him, I can't do this. I'm not gonna try to knock him out. He's Mike Tyson. He's 58 years old. He's 31 years older than me. I know I can take him. I don't need to do this. And for those who would question it, I will remind y'all that there have been moments in boxing where we've seen fighters exercising compassion. I remember when Larry Holmes reportedly cried because of how he was beating up on Muhammad Ali, praying that he wouldn't get up. He wouldn't get up and he wouldn't come out.
Critics argue that Jake prioritizes spectacle over substance, a sentiment echoed by fighters like Davis, who see him as more of an entertainer than a true boxer. Yet Jake's ability to draw massive audiences cannot be ignored. He has leveraged his fame and polarizing persona to carve out a lucrative niche in the boxing world, often earning more per fight than many established champions. His knack for getting under the skin of both fans and professionals alike keeps him in the spotlight, even as he sidesteps calls to face legitimate competition. As Jake Paul continues to evade serious challenges, the calls for him to prove his worth in the ring grow louder. Fighters like Gervonta Davis, who have spent years climbing the ranks and earning their stripes, see Jake's presence in the sport as an affront to their hard work. For Davis, a potential fight with Jake wouldn't just be about shutting him up, it would be about sending a message that boxing is not a playground for influencers seeking clout. Jake, however, thrives on the controversy he creates. By refusing to engage with fighters like Davis, he maintains control of his narrative, positioning himself as the underdog who plays by his own rules. Yet this strategy has its limits. The more Jake sidesteps real challenges, the more his critics are emboldened and the more his legitimacy as a boxer is called into question. A potential fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul would be more than just a blockbuster event. It would be a defining moment for both fighters. For Davis, it would be an opportunity to silence the noise surrounding Jake's antics and reaffirm the values of discipline and skill that define the sport. For Jake, it would be a chance to prove his critics wrong and demonstrate that he belongs in the same conversation as boxing's elite. However, the risks for Jake are immense. Facing a fighter of Davis's caliber would strip away the protective veneer of curated matchups and controlled narratives. It would force Jake to confront the reality of stepping into the ring with a true champion, someone who lives and breathes the sport he has often treated as a stage for his own theatrics. As the boxing community speculates about the possibility of this matchup, one thing is clear. A fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul would capture the attention of the world. It would be a spectacle that transcends boxing, drawing in fans and critics alike to witness the clash of two vastly different approaches to the sport. For now, the ball is in Jake's court. Will he rise to the occasion and face the challenges that fighters like Davis present? Or will he continue to chart his own controversial path, leaving questions about his legitimacy unanswered? One thing is certain, if this fight ever materializes, it will be more than a clash of fists. It will be a battle for the soul of boxing itself. Jake Paul's antics may frustrate purists, but they've also brought attention to boxing in a way few others have. His fight with Tyson reportedly reached 65 million households on Netflix.
Subscription, right? It wasn't pay-per-view. And B, pretty good night of fights leading up to that point. And what did you want? Did you want Tyson to get brutally knocked out? Did you want him stretchered? Because guess what? Those same people would have said, oh, he murdered him. He murdered him. What did you want? You wanted Tyson to knock out Jake? And then they would have said, oh, the fix is in. Like, it's a lose-lose. But ultimately, what I think people are missing is that was 65 million households around the world watched boxing on a Friday night on Netflix on the biggest streaming platform. No one got hurt. It was somewhat competitive to a degree. Where's the problem? That's the part that I don't understand.
Introducing the sport to a new generation of fans. Whether that's good or bad depends on your perspective. For now, the spotlight remains firmly on Jake Paul. Will he rise to the challenge and face a fighter like Gervonta Davis? Or will he continue to tread the fine line between showmanship and legitimacy? One thing's for sure, boxing fans will be watching. What do you think? Could Jake Paul hold his own against a proven champion like Gervonta Davis? Or is he biting off more than he can chew? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Knockout Updates for all the latest boxing news.